Okay, good morning. First of all, welcome everyone. Thank y'all for coming. 6 weeks from yesterday is our first game. With what we did last year, I think there's a tremendous amount of excitement in town, not only on our staff, but I think in the community about our 2012 season. As we all know, last year, for the first time in 29 years, Greensboro was South Atlantic League champions. It was a great year and a very special memory, I think, for all of us, particularly those of us here, and I'm sure for all of you as well. Today I'm going to introduce our manager for 2012. This isn't his first trip to Greensboro. Actually, in 1988, he was here playing out at Stoner White Field in the Palomino World Series. So he knows everything about Greensboro and remembers that very well, I'm sure, from 24 years ago. But David Berg is he's a native of Northern California. He played baseball at the University of Miami. In 1993, he was selected by the Marlins in the 38th round. And as most of us know, very few 38th rounders become major leaguers. But despite those odds, David played 7 years in the big leagues with the Marlins and Toronto Blue Jays. He was a career 266 hitter. 269? 269. Well, there's a typo then in it. And for the last 2 years, he's coached or managed in Jamestown. And we were looking, actually, our team last year, 22 of those guys that spent some time here in Greensboro last year played for him the year before in Jamestown. So he takes all the credit for that championship. But nonetheless, I want to turn it over our new manager of 2012, David Berg. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thanks, Donald. Oh, I tell you what, I am so excited to be here. Donald's been great, Katie's been great, just the whole front office. I've been here less than 24 hours, and I already feel like part of the family. It's a beautiful ballpark, as you know. It's a big league setup, except the paycheck's not big leagues. And that's I'm part of the Marlins, but this is a tremendous opportunity for me. I'm excited. I can't wait to get going. I was telling someone spring training starts for us tomorrow. As a player, you come in shape, first day of spring training. Well, now as a coach, I come in, spring training is for me to get into shape. So I can't wait to get that started. But, you know, as Donald said, your team last year, I had them their first year, and not only was that a good group of baseball players, but it was a tremendous group of human beings. They were outstanding. You know, last year, unfortunately, I didn't have the same kind of group, but that's kind of what I'm dealing with is every year you don't know what kind of group you're going to get, and your team last year was a tremendous group. You guys got a ring, which is why we all do this. I want to get a ring. You know, I got one when I was 18, but I want to get one in professional baseball, and to do it in a great city like this, I really look forward to it. The good thing about Greensboro, too, is in Jamestown, we're kind of handed teams. You don't have a lot of say in who you get. You get some draft guys, you get some high school kids. It's kind of put together for you, whereas here, we kind of get the pick of Jamestown guys, maybe some holdovers from last year, which we don't know who's going to come back from last year, and we get some guys from Gulf Coast, so we kind of get a choice of 3 different teams, which is good, it's a good opportunity for a lot of those guys, and why it's going to be nice to be on this side of it. You know, last year, every time we had a guy doing well and Andy needed a player, you know, he kind of took a star from my team. So this year, I get to get someone from someone else's team, a better player. So it's going to be nice not to get plucked like Andy used to pluck me, but I'm just so excited and really looking forward to it. Any questions? No? No? What do you got?
You have memories of Greensboro playing in the Palomino League.
That was 24 years ago. I don't remember much, and I don't remember this place. I don't remember the field being like this, but you know, it was great as an 18-year-old to come out and travel to North Carolina from California and play in better competition and actually win something. We actually got a ring, so it was a good experience. Yeah.
Talk about the change in philosophy with Marlin. You got a new name, you got a new manager, a lot of new faces up there. Some of the same faces we had here, but
I think there's a good buzz going around. You know, they got the new uniforms. They brought in some higher caliber players. They got the new stadium, so they're going to draw, which is a good thing for, you know, the organization. I think there's just a good buzz. You got a good manager who's loud and boisterous, and, you know, a lot of people laugh at him, but he's actually a really good manager. I think it trickles down. You know, I think guys are excited. We got these funky new uniforms that everybody's going to wear in spring training. They're not just the black and white. We got some of the funkier colors, so some guys are excited. I think it trickles down. I think there's a good buzz going on. They expect to win. You know, I expect to win. I want to win. That's you know, development. A lot of people talk about development, and, you know, well, we don't care about winning or losing because, you know, we're trying to develop players. Well, I think winning is part of developing. You know, you teach these guys to care about what they do and go out and win. You know, I mean, I don't ever remember going out on the field not trying to win the game. And, you know, there's one thing you can control in this game, and that's your effort. We can't control if we get hits. We can't control if we make errors or give up home runs, but we can control our effort. And with quality effort and the intangible to go out there and win games and not worry about your stats, at the end of the year, your stats are going to be there. You know, like last year's group, it's unbelievable. Those guys, when I was watching the playoffs on the internet, and, you know, they were down, they came back, they were down, they came back, they were down, they came back. It didn't surprise me one bit because I'd seen them do it before. You know, with that team, you're never out of it. You know, sometimes you're down 5 runs, you want to get this guy a couple at bats. Well, with that team, you couldn't do it because you're always in the game. You know, they were just a tremendous group. And so with effort and focus and just going out there to play to win, and everything else will take care of itself. Yeah.
When do you get to hit the spring training, and when before April 5th will you know the final roster?
Usually the final roster is like a couple days before we come here. It might even be the day before we come here. We kind of do it a little bit strange. I remember as a player, we always did it about 5 days, so guys can get ready, prepare, pack, and know where they're going, ship their cars there. But for some reason, we do it like 2 days before. So I won't know until April or March 30th, right around then.
What type of manager would you say you are? Big inning manager?
You know, I don't like to bunt, but if it's a team that can't hit very well, I guess we're going to have to bunt, you know. So I guess part of being a good manager is knowing your team, knowing your personnel. You know, you can't steal bases with a bunch of slow guys. You can't wait for the home run if you got guys that don't have any power. So it depends on the team. You know, I don't like to bunt, like I said, but if it calls for it, I guess I'll have to do it.
Coach, what about the old question of balancing? You know, we all know that minor leagues is all about player development, but you also got to get some W's in there too. How's that fine line of balancing wins versus player development for you?
Well, like I said before, you know, I think winning is part of developing. You know, last year's group, that's a tremendous group, and I think they've all gained something by winning together. You know, they'll have that in their back pocket the next few years, you know. Like I said, I just think winning is part of developing. I can't play Scrabble without, you know, trying to win. You know, words with friends. I get mad when I lose to my wife. So I think winning is everything. It's just the way it is.
One question.
Yeah.
I'm a novice in baseball, but do you foresee a difference in the speed with which they move players up and out of this level because of the money they're able to pay, you know, the big money and keep that ceiling?
I think if they sign guys for $1 million, they're going to see what they can get out of them. You know what I mean? They're going to speed some guys up. And obviously, like I was 38th rounder, I spent a year at each level and never got moved up or sent down during the season. Whereas guys now, you know, I don't know. Your roster last year was, position player-wise, it was pretty solid, like 12 or 13. But pitchers, you know, those guys are up and down, in and out. They're always moving. And there was actually a guy that we had last year that played at 4 different levels, and he signed in June. So I don't know. I sometimes you wonder why they do it. Obviously, people get hurt and they need arms, but you know that's not my call. That's the Florida Marlins, and that's who I have to deal with. So I don't know. They've changed our vice president of player development. Jim Fleming is now Larry Beinfest's special assistant. We had a new guy that came in at the end of last year who worked with Jeffrey Loria before. His name's Marty Scott. But other than that, everybody's pretty much the same.
How's your background and your experience as a utility infielder helping you with management?
I think it helps because as a guy that doesn't play every day, you got to kind of know the manager and know what he might do, who he might hit for, who he might use to hit in that spot, or who might go in as a defensive guy, or who might go in on a double switch. So as a young guy playing, I kind of played along with the manager, and I think it kind of got my interest in managing. You know, it's kind of funny to have a job that you get paid to teach baseball. You know, it's not like a real job. It's kind of fantasy for me.
So you got a chance to shadow the manager in the dugout.
Yeah, well, you watch him from afar, but kind of have an idea what he's going to do. You know, like, say I'm a guy that doesn't like to pinch hit a lot. Well, obviously the guys on the bench don't need to worry about that. Knowing what the manager's going to do helps me get prepared if you're not starting that day. You know what I mean? So if you're not in the lineup, you better kind of have an idea of what the manager's going to do so you can get ready. Say fifth inning, you go down there and you start stretching your legs out because, you know, we're probably going to double switch. In the National League, we're going to double switch. American League, you got the DH. You're probably not going to do much player movement as far as defenders or hitters. Minor leagues, we have the DH, so, well, up until A-ball, so there's not really a lot of movement during the game as far as that, just the pitching. You know, we got pitch counts, which, you know, sometimes we don't like, but got to protect their arms. So there's a lot of movement on that part of it, but not really hitting and pinch hitting and defensive purposes. Yeah.
Where do you foresee Christian Yelich starting out the season?
Probably Jupiter. I would see that whole team probably moving up, except for a couple guys. You know, a couple guys that didn't play every day. But as far as the starting lineup, I would see all those guys going up to Jupiter. And if it were me, I would keep all those guys together for as long as possible. I would just move them up the chain, just like that. I mean, because they're a great group. You don't see groups like that very often. Like I said, not only talent-wise, but human persons. They're just good people, great kids that played the game the right way, and unbelievable group. That's all I can say. It's a great group.
When it comes to base running, are you aggressive or conservative?
Like I say, well, let me put it to you this way. Offensively, I like to be aggressive. Defensively, I like to be conservative. I don't like doing wheel plays and stuff like that because it kind of puts our defense out of position. You know, if they're going to bunt and give up an out, I just want to get the out. We can always walk a guy to set up bases loaded or something like that. But offensively, you got to put the pressure on the other team. You know, work at reading balls in the dirt, and that's one of the things that I think we lack is guys don't do that. And it's such a weapon when a guy reads the ball in dirt and he gets to second base without, you know, having to steal it and get a chance of getting thrown out. So offensively, I like to be aggressive. Defensively, conservative.
Dave, I know you don't know who we're going to have specifically, but you got a pretty good idea of some of the guys that you feel like might be here. If you don't mind telling folks here about some of those folks. And
From Jamestown last year?
that and perhaps last year's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys had a guy here, Brent Keys, center fielder, who started out here and he got hurt. Good player. He can run. He can defend. He can hit. He's a top-of-the-order kind of guy. He's probably going to come back. Maybe James Wooster, who you guys saw a little bit of, didn't play every day here, so he'll probably come back. Good guy, power, good right fielder, great arm, great kid, goes about it the right way. As far as catchers and infielders, I'm not sure. Probably those two guys for sure. And then we'll probably have a few guys from Jamestown. Josh Adams, third baseman, University of Florida, played in the College World Series last year. He's a quality defender, you know, working on his offense, but he's got power. So I could see him being a big league third baseman. We have a couple first basemen. One guy I had in Jamestown the year before, but he got hurt last year, so you guys missed him here. But he'll probably come with us. And he's a 300 hitter, drives in runs, has a knack for driving in runs. He can hit at the bottom of the lineup and be a threat down there. We have a young guy, Ryan Rieger, who got drafted last year, who can really hit, who's really supposed to be a good hitter. So I see him hitting third, maybe playing left field or first base sometimes. And the pitching is probably going to be our strength. We have the first-round pick last year. He signed late, so he only pitched 3 innings in Jamestown, so he's probably going to spend his full season up here. Quality guy. He's got a plus arm, good breaking ball, good changeup. He's got 3 quality pitches. Our second-round pick signed really, really late. He only showed up in instructional league, so he's probably slated to come here. So our number 1, our number 2 should probably be starting pitchers here. We had a guy that I had the last couple of years, Josh Hodges. He was a 7th-round pick a couple of years ago. Big, tall guy, 6'7". You know how Flem likes those big Oklahoma tall guys. But he's a big, tall guy, 6'7", throws hard. He's developed a changeup. He needs to get a little bit better with the slider, but he's a third guy who could be a quality starter for us. And then there's 2 guys that pitched down in the Gulf Coast League last year. I think one's from around here. I don't know where he's from. Pittsburgh. Great kid. He's got a power arm, power breaking ball, quality changeup, and the thing about him is he's just a little young. He might be ready for this year. So a couple guys down there. So we should have a quality staff, which is, as you know, pitching wins in baseball. Yeah.
Now, you use, and I know you must use your experience being what would be considered an organizational player who defied the odds and did make it to some of these kids who are, it's not always the bonus babies that, the high picks that make it. And some people, I remember Mike Lowell was, came through here as a way high pick, high 20s and low 30s.
Yeah.
And he made it.
Yeah. He, too, another tremendous human being. He grinded it out. Good offensive player. He just kind of worked his way. But with a lot of these guys, of course, if you sign for $1 million, you're probably going to get a good chance of playing in the big leagues. Whereas some other guys, you just got to work your way. And, like, for me, I really believe that I was in the right place at the right time. I spent a year at each level, played different positions, and then in '98, they dismantled the '97 team. So if that's not right place, right time, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? So part of it's that, and part of it's just grinding your way through.
Okay, for the media that's here, I'll do the camera interview first if you want to mic them up. You do want a mic? Okay, we'll do the camera first, and then writers will get you together as soon as he's done with the camera. So if you have any more questions? All right.
Thank you all.
I found that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Let me get you. You want to do it outside? Or okay. All right. Let's go get a quick
And
mic up, and we'll
I'm
get you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, good to meet you.
He'll be at all the games.
Beautiful. I can't wait.
All right.